The movie opens with a prince named Savior, who is trying to tame his new horse. The horse is wild and restless, making it difficult for Savior to control. A few of his servants are also helping him, but the horse is so strong that even they fail to handle it. After struggling for quite some time, Savior finally manages to grab the reins and with great effort brings the horse under his command. Just then, a princess arrives to talk about his marriage. But Savior doesn't like palace princesses. Their luxurious lives bore him. So he replies to the queen, "I'll marry only when I find a girl of my own choice." In fact, his father wanted him to marry a royal princess from another kingdom, but Savior disagreed. He told his mother, "I'm going to find a girl for myself." Saying this, he mounted his horse and rode away from the palace. Savior loved horse riding, so he kept going farther and farther from home. His horse galloped swiftly across vast fields and open plains. But suddenly, the saddle slipped and Savior fell to the ground. The horse ran off alone into the distance. Savior stood up and looked around. He had reached a lonely, deserted place. Picking up the saddle, he began walking in the direction his horse had gone. After a while, he saw a church ahead. Outside the church, something unbelievable was happening. A man was floating in the air, while a crowd below shouted for him to come down. Savior was stunned. The man's name was William, and he was the priest of the church. People around told Savior that William was a miracle man, blessed with divine powers. Soon, William descended to the ground and asked Savior, "Why have you come here, my son?" Savior replied, "I'm looking for my horse. It ran away." William smiled and said, "You shouldn't be looking for a horse. You should be looking for a bride. You're at the right age for marriage." Savior was surprised. He had met many women, but none had ever touched his heart. That's why he was still unmarried. Then William picked up a bag of flour and handed it to him. "Take this flour," he said. "Have someone cook with it. The day you eat 7 breads made from this flour, you'll meet the girl meant for you, and she'll become your wife." Savior asked, "Is that really true?" William replied, "Yes, it's true. This is your destiny. You will soon meet your beloved." Then William gave him a donkey and said, "Ride this. It will take you toward your fate." Since Savior had seen William floating in the air, he believed every word he said. After walking for a while, Savior saw his horse grazing in a field. Overjoyed, he hurried toward it with his donkey. He hugged the horse and smiled. He had found his loyal companion again. In the same field, a young woman named Lisa was working. When she saw Savior near the horse, she shouted, "Stay away from my horse." Savior looked at her and said proudly, "I'm Prince Savior, and this is my horse. I could have you punished for lying to a prince." Lisa laughed. "You're quite the storyteller," she said mockingly. "Calling my horse yours, that's a good joke." She began to lead the horse away, but Savior said, "Take my donkey instead and give me my horse." Lisa ignored him. So Savior pushed her aside and climbed onto the horse, but the horse threw him off again. Lisa laughed harder. "See, I told you, this isn't your horse. It doesn't even recognize you." Savior was embarrassed but determined. He stood up, dusted himself off, and tried again to control the horse. After a while, he finally succeeded. He then rode back to Lisa, who was on her knees picking up fallen vegetables. That's when Savior realized that this was Lisa's field. She grew vegetables and sold them in the market to make a living. As Savior watched her, he noticed her hard work, simplicity, and beauty. He felt a strange compassion for her, something he had never felt for any palace princess. He asked softly, "Will you come with me?" Lisa looked up at him and shook her head. "No, my place is here." Savior didn't say anything more, but something in his heart had changed. That day, the proud prince who lived among riches and royalty fell in love with a poor village girl who didn't even believe he was a prince. Meanwhile, Savior suddenly hears the sound of soldiers approaching. Alarmed, he grabs Lisa's hand and starts running with her toward the woods. Lisa becomes frightened and truly believes that Savior must be a thief. That's why the soldiers are after him. But in reality, the soldiers are looking for Prince Savior himself. Savior, however, doesn't want to return to the palace yet, so he hides with Lisa in the bushes. While they're hiding, Savior takes a moment to look at her, and overcome by emotion, he leans in to kiss her. Lisa quickly pushes him away. Before anything else happens, she shoves him so hard that he falls to the ground. Even after that, Savior smiles. He's still happy just to be near her. Soon after, he finds his horse again, mounts it, and rides toward Lisa. She has already gone back to picking vegetables in the fields. Savior says gently, "Come with me. I'll take you to the market." But Lisa doesn't trust him, so she refuses. Disappointed, Savior turns his horse and rides away. Lisa, too, starts walking home. After some time, Lisa reaches her small, poor home. She is exhausted from the long day. She lives alone. She has no family, no one to look after her. Meanwhile, Savior, unable to stop thinking about her, follows her all the way to her house. When Lisa sees him outside, she panics and slams the door shut. Savior has fallen for her deeply. He starts wandering around her house, hoping to catch another glimpse of her. From inside, Lisa watches him through a small window. But then Savior comes back to her door and knocks again. Frightened, Lisa quickly locks herself inside. Poor Savior sits outside, wondering how he can ever talk to her. He doesn't want to leave, not until he wins her heart. As he wanders, he notices a church nearby. The sight reminds him of what Father William had said about the 7 breads. He rushes back to Lisa's door and calls out, "If you make 7 loaves of bread for me, I promise I'll leave." To get rid of him, Lisa agrees. After a while, she finishes baking and calls out to him. Savior, who had fallen asleep by the door, wakes up when she opens it. Lisa hands him the bread, but there are only 6 loaves. Savior frowns and says, "I asked you for 7 loaves." Lisa replies firmly, "Your flour was only enough for 6. I made as many as I could. Now please go away." But Savior insists, "I need 7, not 6. He opens the door and steps inside, repeating, "Please make one more somehow." Lisa grows angry at his stubbornness and throws the bread on the ground. "Enough. Just leave my house." She shouts and slams the door again. As soon as she closes the door, she hears a thud outside. Alarmed, she runs out and finds Savior collapsed on the ground. Terrified, Lisa kneels beside him, shaking his shoulders. "Please wake up. Say something," she cries. Savior slowly opens his eyes and whispers weakly, "I won't get up until I get 7 loaves." Shocked and frustrated, Lisa starts calling her neighbors for help. "There's a stranger in my house," she shouts. "He came inside and now he's dead." The villagers rush to her home, thinking someone has really died. Savior lies motionless, pretending to be dead. One man bends down and tries to steal a ring from his finger, but another villager stops him. When they see the royal ring, the villagers realize this man must belong to the palace. Lisa runs back, shouts at them to stop, and drives them all away. The villagers, frightened and confused, whisper among themselves, "Could he be the prince?" After they leave, Lisa turns to Savior again and says angrily, "You should go now. If the villagers come back, they won't spare you." But Savior, still lying down, opens one eye and murmurs, "Where's my 7th loaf?" Before they can say anything more, the villagers return, this time more determined. The villagers were terrified of soldiers, so they decided to get rid of the body before anyone found out. "If the soldiers think we hid the prince, they'll destroy our village," one says. They lift Savior's body and carry him away to bury him secretly. Lisa follows, panicking. She kneels beside him and pleads, "Please wake up. They're going to bury you alive." But Savior remains still holding on to his stubborn vow. "I won't get up until I get my 7th loaf." Meanwhile, the villagers, thinking Xavier was dead, carried him away to an old ruined building and left him there. Lisa didn't try to save him, because after seeing Xavier's royal ring, she too became frightened. Lisa had eaten one of the buns herself, so she could only give Xavier 6 instead of 7. His stubbornness over the 7th bun had made her sad. That night, while Lisa was sleeping, she woke up after hearing strange noises. She hurried outside, following the sound of someone calling her name. Soon, she came across an old woman who turned out to be a witch. The witch said, "Because of your mistake, a prince has been buried alive. You will be punished in hell for this." Lisa protested, "It wasn't my fault." But the old woman replied, "That prince loved you." Shocked, Lisa asked, "Then what should I do?" Lisa didn't want to suffer in hell, so the witch told her to come along. The witch led her through the forest but warned her, "When we reach my sisters, don't say a word. Just wait until I call you." Then the old woman went ahead to meet her fellow witches and returned to bring Lisa to them. All the women were witches who lived hidden deep in the forest. They told Lisa, "We've saved Prince Xavier with our magic." Then they used a spell to show Lisa an image of him. Xavier was sitting in a small house, eating hungrily. Seeing him alive and well filled Lisa's heart with relief. The witches said, "If you wish to marry the prince, we can help you." Lisa agreed because now she too had started to like the stubborn prince. One of the witches showed her a magical locket and said, "When you kiss this locket, the prince will fall in love with you." Lisa listened carefully to everything they said, but suddenly the weather turned stormy and the frightened witches ran away. Left alone, Lisa kissed the locket, but she kissed the wrong side. Instantly, Xavier's body turned stiff like stone. Her one mistake had cursed him. The nuns of the nearby church rushed to him, thinking Xavier had been paralyzed. They carried him inside and began chanting prayers, but nothing worked. The next day, a priest arrived at the church to heal him. He blessed a drink with holy chants and tried to make Xavier drink it, believing that a witch had cursed him. When it failed, he poured the drink on Xavier. Still, nothing happened. By noon, royal soldiers arrived in the village. Before they came, the frightened villagers hid inside the church. Everyone blamed Lisa, saying she was the reason the soldiers were here. The villagers had already realized that the man they had buried alive was actually Prince Xavier. They decided to hand Lisa over to the soldiers since Xavier had come to the village for her, yet she had rejected his love. The villagers drove Lisa out, making her the culprit for something she hadn't done. Soon, the soldiers surrounded the church. The terrified villagers villagers came out, and soon the villagers and the king's soldiers stood face to face. Then the royal minister approached Lisa and said, "Our master knows everything. It's your fault Prince Xavier has turned to stone." He continued, "The prince is with us. Our master says that if you kiss him, he will come back to life." The minister then ordered everyone to go to the mountain where Xavier had been taken. While the soldiers prepared to leave, the minister guided Lisa toward Xavier's resting place. Lisa had finally realized her mistake. When she came to see Xavier, everyone turned to watch. As soon as Lisa kissed him, Xavier woke up, completely fine again. But the moment he saw her, anger flashed in his eyes. He shouted at her, furious that she was the reason he had been buried alive and later turned to stone. He called her a witch in rage of the villagers, saying, "You all believed her lies and committed a great sin." Then he turned to Lisa and demanded, "Who was that woman? Was she a witch?" Lisa replied softly, "She was just an old woman from the village, but it wasn't her fault. It was mine. I'm sorry. I've realized my mistake, and now I truly love you." Xavier didn't believe her. He scolded her harshly, accusing her of deceit. But Lisa, now truly in love, no longer feared death. She tried to rally the villagers, urging them to stand up for the truth, but no one dared. They were terrified of the soldiers, knowing disobedience meant death. Angry and cold-hearted, Xavier ordered his men to lock Lisa inside a wooden box. Before leaving, he declared, "No one will help her for 5 days." After some time, Lisa peered through a small crack in the box. Outside, she could see the soldiers laughing and drinking, enjoying themselves. Suddenly, the same old witch appeared again, this time to rescue her. The witch pushed the box, sending it rolling downhill. The soldiers chased after it, but the box moved too fast. It rolled through the forest, down a slope, and finally splashed into a river. The current carried it all the way to the sea. There, a group of young boys spotted the floating box and dragged it to shore. Thinking it contained treasure, they eagerly opened it, only to find a woman inside. Startled, they screamed and ran away. Lisa, weak and thirsty, stumbled toward the sea to drink some water. One boy, watching from a distance, shouted, "Are you crazy? Don't you know this water's salty?" He laughed and called her mad, then summoned his friends. The boys surrounded her and asked, "Who are you?" Lisa said, "I'm a princess." Hearing that, their fear turned to excitement. They decided to take her to the royal palace. Meanwhile, at the palace, a grand horse race was taking place. Xavier was competing, and he won. From afar, Lisa secretly watched him with admiration. After his victory, Xavier went to his father, the king, to receive his reward. Everyone cheered for him proudly. When the ceremony ended, the king smiled and said, "Now, my son, it's time for your marriage. Tomorrow, 7 princesses will arrive, and you must choose one to be your bride." Xavier looked saddened, for in his heart, he wished only to marry Lisa. Hidden among the crowd, Lisa heard every word. As people came forward to congratulate Xavier, Lisa tried to approach too, but by then, he had already left. The next day, an announcement was made. Prince Xavier's wedding would soon take place, and 7 princesses from different kingdoms would arrive at the palace. Preparations began, and the palace needed many workers to help. The old witch appeared once again and told Lisa, "This is your chance. The palace is hiring laborers. It's the perfect time for you to get inside." Lisa also heard the royal announcement that the palace was hiring new servants. She decided to join the line of workers waiting to be selected. When the king's soldiers came to choose people for the job, fate smiled on her. Lisa was chosen to work in the palace. Meanwhile, Prince Xavier learned that Lisa had disappeared. Furious, he lashed out at his minister and almost set his dog on him. The terrified minister begged for forgiveness and asked for one more chance. Xavier was still angry when his mother arrived. He wanted to leave the palace again to search for Lisa, but the queen stopped him, insisting he stay and eat. But Xavier couldn't eat without Lisa. His mother reminded him that it was his father's royal order, yet he disobeyed and left the palace anyway, determined to find her. When he reached the village, an old man told him that after the box Lisa was trapped and rolled away, she was never seen again. She was probably dead. Hearing this, Xavier's heart sank. Back at the palace, the 7 princesses had gathered for dinner, waiting for Xavier to arrive. Suddenly, a chick appeared on the table, causing chaos. The angry princesses scolded the royal chef, who checked the kitchen, only to find that eggs were hatching everywhere, with chicks running across the floor. Amid the confusion, Lisa slipped quietly into a room inside the palace. She had come hoping to see Xavier again, but he wasn't there, so she hid and waited for him. That night, Xavier returned to the palace, looking heartbroken. As he entered his room, he noticed some flowers scattered on the floor. Following the trail, he reached the very room where Lisa was hiding. Lisa had dropped the flower on purpose to lead him to her. When they saw each other, both were overcome with emotion and embraced tightly. But then Lisa pulled back and asked, "How can I trust you? 7 princesses are waiting to marry you tomorrow." Xavier replied, "You're right, but I left only to find you. You're the one I want." Both realized they couldn't live without each other. They had truly fallen in love. The next day, at Xavier's request, A new competition was announced in the palace. The 7 princesses would compete, and Xavier would choose his bride based on the winner. The challenge? Cleaning a huge pile of dirty dishes. Whoever cleaned them first would marry the prince. Soon all 7 princesses gathered. Lisa, disguised as a princess, after secretly knocking one out and taking her dress, also joined the contest. When one princess saw the dirty dishes, she refused to touch them, saying it was beneath her dignity. The others hesitated too, but Xavier started the contest anyway. The pampered princesses struggled. They had never done housework before. One fainted at the sight of the filth. Another broke a dish, and soon they were fighting among themselves. Lisa, used to hard work, cleaned quickly, but when she reached for another dish, she found it cracked. Then another broke in her hands. Again and again, every dish she touched shattered. Xavier watched in confusion. Why were only her dishes breaking? At that moment, the queen entered and told Xavier the truth about Lisa's identity. Shocked and emotional, Xavier ran to her, scolding her in anger and pain. Hurt by his words, Lisa fled from the palace, crying. She ran until she reached the seashore. Standing at the edge, she decided to end her life, when suddenly, the same man who once floated in the air appeared again. He gently said, "Prince Xavier loves you. Go back. Be brave. He's waiting for you." Then he disappeared into the night. Back at the palace, a grand feast was being held, Xavier's wedding day. Poor villagers were invited to eat in celebration. Lisa also arrived, disguised among them. When she came before Xavier, she angrily thanked him for feeding the poor and showed him a broken plate. She explained that someone had tricked her during the contest. Xavier finally understood. He picked up a ring from the princess beside him, traced it across a plate, and instantly, crack, the plate broke. Now he knew the truth. It was that very princess who had used magic to sabotage Lisa. Xavier stood, turned to the crowd, and publicly declared his love for Lisa. The villagers cheered with joy, chanting their names. And so, Prince Xavier and Lisa were married in a grand celebration, ending their long, magical, and tumultuous journey with true love. The end.